Hello folks, I'm back in the kitchen because today I want to share with you a recipe that I tried it out a few weeks ago and I posted a picture of it over on the Facebook group page, and I had so many nice comments and requests for the recipe that I thought I'd film it and bring you along and show you how I make it step by step. Now, it's the sort of recipe that you can adapt whichever way you want it. I've already made quite a few changes from when I made it the first time, and yeah, to be honest, I think it's even better than the first time, but you'll have to wait till the end to find out. So anyway, if you've got a few minutes to spare and you fancy a nice, healthy, hearty recipe idea for these cold winter days, stick around and enjoy. Okay, you can see I haven't really got anything weighed out or chopped up or anything. This is the way we're going to go. So there's no worrying about sticking to a certain amount of ingredients. We're just going to use what we've got and do it by eye. So what can go wrong? So all we need for the main part of the dish, we need a squash. On this occasion I'm using my trusty Turk's Turban squash, which I know has got a lovely deep flavour. And we've got our kale. So they are the two main ingredients for this dish. We've then got milk, corn flour, cheese. I'm using elephant garlic. You can use whatever garlic you've got to hand. And that is going to make the sauce that binds it all together. And here in the middle, I've got some hazelnuts, which I'm going to roast, rub the skins off, chop and put on the top. So that's a little bit fancy, that, but that's the only fancy bit there is to this dish. So let's get started. Right, first thing I'm going to do is attempt to cook this squash without injuring myself. So very sharp knife in at the top. I mean, you've got to remember these things are mostly hollow in the middle. It's just actually getting through the outside. And because this has been curing now for, oh, let me think, picked it in October, so November, December, January, yeah, it's been at least 3 months curing. Can't really hear that, can you? The skin's quite tough. So let me just move these off the wobbly board. There we go, and we'll see. Right, I'm getting there. I'm going to... Right, you can see here they have been sliced. They have had their seeds scraped out just with a spoon, with a little knife as well if they're a bit tough. But look at the colour of these. Look at them. And that depth of colour tells you just about the depth of flavour that they're going to have. But what I need to do is just make these pieces a little bit smaller because they are going to be roast. And I don't want to have a great big thick one like that next to, I don't know, a skinny winny like that one. Okay, because that's going to over roast, and that's not going to cook through. So I'm just going to make sure they're roughly the same size. I'm not bothered about how I do it. It's not necessarily about looking pretty at this stage. It's just making them the right size to eat. So what I'm going to do, when these are sliced, I'm going to put them in a bowl, there we are, I'll do it that way, and cover them with olive oil. So yes, that was quite magical, wasn't it? Although what really happened, I'll just put a little bit more on just to show you. Yeah, my battery ran out on the camera, so I didn't film the last bit, but all I was doing was slicing up, popping in this bowl, popping a little bit of olive oil on, and giving the squash a good old coating, which not only coats them, but also coats my hands in a strange orange dye. Okay, so, right, they're sliced, they're covered in oil, they're ready for the next step. Okay, we're ready. I've got my roasting tin here. I should have mentioned I've got the oven on at 200 degrees centigrade, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. quite hot because we are roasting. I've got my roasting tray here. It's up to you whether you just rub a bit of fat, a bit of oil on your roasting tray, or whether you start to put some greaseproof paper down. I've only just started using greaseproof paper like this because my daughter told me to, basically. And it's made life so much easier. There's no more scraping stuff off the pan. But what we need to do here, in fact, you know what, I'm just going to tip it in. Look at that sight. Now what I might have, let's see how many fit. I'm going to put in as many as fit so that we're not going to be steaming them, because I do want them to get as well roasted as possible. So I want the heat to get around each of them. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. That'll be okay. And like I say, this is clearly too much for my dish, but the leftovers will be very welcome for something else. I haven't brought my tissue. I've got a tissue here. There we go. But what I'm going to do now in here is also, remember my elephant garlic? I'm going to pop that in, just hither and nither and wither, and allow that to roast with the squash. I'm not going to peel it, I'm not going to do anything like that, because afterwards, after it's all roasted up, I'm going to be taking the garlic out and doing something slightly different with that to go with the sauce. But for now, this is going to go in my preheated oven. Okay, I've just put the squash in the oven. I'm going to be checking it in about 20 minutes, and just keep an eye. You're looking at when it starts to just go nice and brown around the edges. But while that's in there, I'm going to toast or roast my hazelnuts. So I'm going to put these in the rack below the squash, and I'm going to look at them in about 10 minutes time, because the idea is I don't want them necessarily to cook through, but I want them to be warm enough so that I'm going to be able to rub the skins off for our finishing touch later on. So I'll pop those in, and 10 minutes time I'll just have a little look and see how they're getting on. Okay, they're all cooking away now. So while we're here, our next step we can be getting on with, while everything else is roasting, is to get out the kale. Now, I'm using kale. Again, I said this is very much a make your own recipe up sort of dish. If you don't like the taste of kale, I know a lot of people think it tastes too metallic, which I really like. I really like that it's got quite a strong flavour. If you haven't got kale, you can use cabbage, you can use brassica leaves, you can use, I used red cabbage last time, that worked quite well. Yeah, just use what you've got, but at the moment, kale is in abundance. So this is what I've got from the plot. I'm leaving the ribs in. Again, a lot of people like to take those out, but I quite like having a bit of something to chew on. So all I'm going to do with these, they've had a good wash, I'm going to just give them a rough chop. I'm hoping I've got enough of these. Again, you can add to it, add what you want to it. You know, you could mix your leaves. But for now, I'm just going to wilt these in a frying pan, again with a little bit of olive oil, and that's going to form the base of our dish. So I'm going to go and do that now. Okay, can you see it's actually shrunk down a bit now, the green? So I've added some brassica leaves, purple sprouting broccoli leaves actually that we had in. So I've added some of them, so that's these ones here, just to bulk it up a bit, because we don't want to be completely overwhelmed with squash to find a teeny tiny bit of greens at the bottom of the dish. So I think that, to me, is just about done. So I'm going to take it off the heat and show you the next bit. And that next bit is as simple as putting it in the bottom of the dish. Right, I've check the hazelnuts now, and we know they're ready because the skins are starting to sort of pop off the hazelnuts, if you like. So what I want to do now is just tip them into a clean kitchen towel, cover them up, and just leave them for a few minutes. And then apparently it should be quite easy to rub those skins off. So let's just have a little look. Where are you? Oh, it's working. Come back. Right, okay. I'm going to come and sit down here. And impatient as ever, I'm not going to wait for a minute. I'm going to go and do it now. So let's have a look. If I do that, in fact, let's move this out of the way. If I do that, poor ceramic chicken on the table over there doesn't know what's going on. It's probably going to lay an egg. There we go. Let's just have a look now and see if that has removed those skins. Oh, look at that. Not all of them, but the ones it has, I'm going to pop into here and then I'll have another go. Oh, they're coming off really nicely actually. I mean, I suppose you could leave the skins on. Again, with this recipe, use any sort of nut. I used walnuts last time. I don't think I'd use them again. It's just a case of trying out. I mean, you know, I'd be interested if anyone even used peanuts. That would be an interesting thing. Because after all, they're just not nuts, but a bit salty, aren't they? So let's just have a little look. One more go. I like this method. Okay, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Okay, oh, they're still hot. Hot, hot, hot. Not bothered about the bits that are still on, because most of the bits are now off. Okay. Right, the squash has been in for about 20 minutes now. I've just checked it. It's almost ready. We've got the greens at the bottom of the dish. We've got the squash about to come out. All we need to do now is prepare to make the sauce. So it's as simple as, and I say this as someone who took a long time to ever get it right, it's as simple as, I'm going to do it this way around, tiny little bit of milk in a dish, in a jug, in a cup, in whatever you've got, and yay much corn flour, and all we're doing is making a roux here. There are other ways of doing it. You can use a fork, you can maybe use a nice little whisk, but all this is going to do is when you add this to your white sauce in a little while, don't want to add too much milk actually, but I'm going to add a little bit more corn flour. It will just thicken it. So what you don't want really, ideally, are any lumps. But that there, that was probably in all about a heaped teaspoonful of corn flour. And although you can't see it, I was tempted to do a bit more. That will work its magic once we put it in with our sauce. So we've got the roux made, we've got our milk. Next thing we need to do, where should I put those pans out of the way, is grate the cheese. Okay, again, use whatever cheese you've got to hand. This, I don't know why we've got coloured cheddar. We never have coloured cheddar. Let me turn it so you can see it. Use as little or as much as you want. If you don't like cheese, don't use it. If you like a stronger cheese, maybe you could try it with a blue cheese. Crumble blue cheese into your sauce. There's the thing. Just do it like you want to, you know. And again, if you haven't got very much, doesn't matter. I'm not measuring this at all. I just know for the size dish I've got, for it to be a nice cheesy sauce, it's going to be a little bit more than that. Basically, until you can smell the squash starting to burn in the oven and you know that you're running out of time. So yeah, I think that's enough. So we've got the roux, we've got the cheese, we've got the rest of the milk. One more special ingredient, and for that I'm going to have to go back to the oven for a second. Right, Do you remember earlier on we put the garlic in with the squash? And again, I've used elephant garlic because that's what I've got. Okay, if you don't like garlic, don't put it in. If you love garlic, put as many cloves as you want in, because what we're going to do now, the idea we've roasted it is so that, well, you get a lovely flavour. This is so hot. Can you see how hot it is? I've just literally got it out of the roasting pan. But these skins, look at that. That's just come off now. That's why I'm not bothered about peeling them before they go in, because they're so easy to take off. Oh, hot, hot, hot. Yeah. And then what you've got there are 3 lovely, you can smell those, gorgeous, 3 lovely plump garlic cloves that you can mash. And that mashed roast garlic is going to add such, let's take that bit out, such a lovely depth of flavour to your cheesy sauce. So, like I say, don't like garlic, don't use it. It's completely up to you, but I love it. And I especially love the delicate flavour, really, of the elephant garlic. So yeah, that, and it doesn't look very appetising now, does it? But that is going to go into the sauce at the last minute and just add that extra flavour.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today.
Okay, it's taken quite a while for this sauce to thicken, I won't lie. So it's had about another couple of teaspoons of the corn flour in, but I don't really want it to boil, so I'm going to turn that right down. But you can see it's thickened up quite nicely there. So what I'm going to do, if you excuse my hands, I'm going to stir in the cheese after rescuing it all over the place. Here we go. Let's do it this way. At this stage, again, if you want to put in some herbs, you can do. Parsley would be nice. I did put sage in last time, but I didn't like it very much because, I don't know, it just made it a bit too earthy, and I think the sage was a little bit old. So you can see straight away that's melting into that, changing the colour of that nicely. And then, it's getting too thick now, isn't it? I'm going to turn that off. Turn the heat off. There we go. I'm going to add this lovely mashed garlic. Now, obviously, this is lumpy. This is going to be lumpy. You are going to bite into lumps of roast garlic, but hey, I love that idea. So I'm going to just mix that round in there and we'll see what happens. It's starting to look a bit like rice pudding, isn't it? That's not meant to happen. But you know what? It's going to be just fine. Okay, I think we're just about ready to pop it all together. Okay, it really is a lot simpler than I've made it look. It's basically all we're doing, we're roasting our squash. I'm going to just show you these. This is how you want them to be. Just a little bit browned on the edges there, caramelised you might say. Okay, you roast your squash. Don't need that for those. You wilt your greens. Okay, you make a sauce, try not to let it go lumpy, and then you put a whole load of mashed garlic in it, which makes it lumpy anyway. And you toast your hazelnuts. So all that's left now, that's still hot. All that's left now is to put it together. So I put that there. It's as simple as, I could do with another fork, but I'm just going to choose the bits that I think will go best, and we're just going to layer this up. Now if you were doing this, and I think it would be a nice thing to do, you know, if you were taking to a friend's house or if you were doing it to entertain people, you know, you could have all your squash cut beautifully and arrange them like you would do with an apple tart, or something like that. But I'm not doing it. This is for me and Mike, and he'll just have to take one of this. And then, look at me. This is really hot. This is just off the hob. It's incredibly lumpy. I don't care. I'm just going to pour this on, and I'm going to blame the garlic for the lumps. And that will soak right down through the squash. Onto the greens. Yeah, well, that's all right. Okay, and then toasted nuts. Okay, so remember we roasted them before, which helped us get the skins off. All the skins aren't, oh, that one is. All the skins aren't all off. Doesn't matter if you get some in your teeth. That's someone who's particularly fussy, or you're doing it for friends, and you might want to get them all off. But giving them a rough chop, just going to sprinkle them on the top as best I can. And I've left the oven on. Now, some people would grill this, but I am going to just, because the oven's on anyway, I'm just going to pop it back in the oven for about another 10 minutes. It's all very approximate, isn't it? And we'll take a little look at how it looks when it comes out. And there we have it. Winter squash and kale gratin. You can see it's just been bubbling around the edge there, which means it's cooked all the way through. The only thing left to do now is to taste it. Okay, here we go. Hot, 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 hot. Let's try and get some out. Okay, go for this bit here. Kale from the garden, squash from the garden, garlic from the garden. In the middle of the winter, we're eating stuff from our own garden that we've grown ourselves, tended ourselves, harvested ourselves, cooked ourselves. And eaten ourselves. That is absolutely delicious. Give it a go. Let me know in the comments below if you've done anything similar before. Tweak it to your liking. So if you want to put a particular herb in there, if you don't like kale, put cabbage or some other sort of green. Maybe chard would work well. Tell me what squash you use. Do you use garlic? But really, that is such a lovely dish to have on a cold winter's day. Enjoy.